presidential candidate. Kofi wa okoye wa kweshim sana obada benyo. Ladies and gentlemen, Kofi Krante.
Yes, sir.
Kofi Akwaba.
Yenua.
Bibia boko de.
Mpacho bibia dading Onyankopon adom. Yeden semnam na mum ya bedu de ya ba emfi onua ntina ensem no ye behwie egu ho se ne se na ye chia abusuafo ye chia mu na ye mamonso happy Tuesday. Mighty Tuesday, Edamasi.
Maybe be fine, Captain. Sure. Dromo no chese. Yami adom. Dromo shankwa. Ivan, o de mi musasa on hoye. Minim so. Ba mi sha se fi Kofi. Kofi mi e sure se wo bana wo tie. COVID-19. Sika ye hwiegum. Who say?
Captain, yes, year a tifo, you teach ya one hour shaying, you say a freak a seed, echo baby, we are say. Baby, a nam beer, we are sending na meshe unia. As a happy, as I say, what they were free to now here. In theater, my sense to say, DBR, my quality broadcasting. Now, Captain, na me jedi say, Warren Kofa COVID asemo mebio because COVID a reflection of an embarrassment for the Ghana government. Now it makes it worse to say what justify such embarrassment because no cry say wunim ne waye. COVID I what can what the excuse no listen COVID wanga COVID see kura won wasafai no kura mpuno. They did well, they're doing well. COVID was an opportunity for leadership, what Teniama say. Now, as I say, you maximize profits. To today, no, minim say what kind of reports no man but only 25% of COVID funds no have been accounted for. Into 75% a year 2.25 billion no yenim. Into 2.25 billion na akano wasang fechi akuje $3 billion and even additional embarrassment say Ghana ye kobobo siya $3 billion yen syndication loan on average yeji for kuku ye 3 billion yen added value which is the biggest income problem ewo Ghana because yen added value to anything yen say cocoa oil any gold, ye 80% of young exports. But young added value nintini na akoro, inti yenya hwimfim. Inti me de mesro na it exposes this government say we clueless and to have an oppositioner what allow cry for the ruling government to come up with sa explanation of saying was spending COVID no cry reveals say not only do we have an incompetent government, we have an equally, if not worse, incompetent oppositioner. They don't know what's going on because nowhere in the world should this be accepted. Mede, I'm embarrassed by the numbers because the numbers don't make sense. So, and your yaw nebabe Ghana for say oh ye near break. But this is a time I do in a world that say ye war captain. The whole world is de-dollarizing. Wufa a radius of about 450 kilometers around Accra, the biggest francophone economy, Ivory Coast, the biggest Anglophone economy Nigeria in sa jurisdiction in the next 15-20 years now we're going to have half a billion people 500 million SSA we are de-dollarize the Shiites and the Saudi Arabia Shiites and Sunnis akoka Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. na Argentina akoka won ho na all the other nations so kan ho yen we could have had an opportunity to present yen gold to sit at the table of the BRICS na yen relevant ewo wiase no yen vice president opeso the president say ye the gold koje oil. Come on, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Wonim na waka what the currency na beto yen now so na fedi ye the koje gold oil tema oil refinery ni si yen oil ne so de daw as say ye tu ni were refine one as say tema oil refinery say ye ni equipment ni outdated inti ye koto petrol ye petrol importation nation wobranka sika what the cathedral no wo betumi de I bring tema oil refinery now up to date na yenga ye be refine yen crude no ye petrol importation nation at the time SSanka ye preserve yen gold they are relevant at the table of the BRICS for negotiation. Who negotiates for Ghana? None negotiate Ghana. And I want to one thing say when him said there is a new world order. This is the best opportunity for Ghana to emerge from the shadows because for once we are relevant with the Niyama Yewo. Yaw and Obia Otukwang or the 50 SUV square sword curtain for toilet. Opeso be the president and we considering them. Obia opese or legalize Okada. We want to consider them for president? Are you kidding me? The whole MPP party does not qualify to even talk about presidency because they fail their leadership. Neither is the NDC party, by the way, because we need vision. Yepobia ote the new world order say, obe position Ghana. Na yebe relevant. Na yebe add value to young cocoa. Yebe add value to young gold. Yebe add value to young oil. Because Sanya may be saying to me by $100 billion a year if we value add. Go around the world and prove me wrong on sa number C. Number C is so simple. Cocoa for cocoa, $3 billion syndication loan. International standard they have 15, 18, 22 times. What are 10 times the value of 3 billion and yet 30 billion? Come on. But I listed Matthias, Aquano Baye, gold, mafia, no? Also, or airlift $480 million of gold a year, $40 million a month. And yes, I know, kind 40 million times 12, and you $500 million. $500 million, no, over 6 years, no, 6 years, no, why over close to 3 billion? What are the value to? I listed Matthias and Kwa Gold, the airlift, Wagana ha. Now they had the mental capacity of young leaders, what they could get 3 billion for World Bank. Matthias and Kwa to me airlift, so what are the value over a 6 year period? NPP party, we could have gained $60 billion from Golda, Matthias and Kwa airlift. From Ghana, 60 billion. You could get 3 billion if you World Bank because we don't have thinkers. We don't know people. We don't have people who know how to think. And we telling you, say these are not the people you want to put in a leadership position. This is the new world order. Yet to a whole different paradigm of thinking. And yes, Uncle thinkers, one-dimensional thinkers. We need a science-based, data-driven, human-centered, with a long-term perspective. Honest, these are the people we need. Captain.
Ivan.
Yeah, Captain. I mention what's here for now. I think, Captain, me who topic now, Upeja and Manije, because we live in a country where you follow the trends. Asemninya pa ho eno ano no. Media majority now are not interested in why we got to where we are now. We are only interested in maybe a jina and then free where we are. But as to how we got here, no, none seem to be interested. So we see your friends say the various airwaves, especially the traditional media now. The amount why that disinformation and misinformation campaign now or more waging over the years are trying to your friends channel a certain particular political agenda, and that is what is going on. My culture say a dishonest journalist, however armed with microphone, is more dangerous than a terrorist. But these people don't see those things. So we are journalists now. We are dishonest, armed with microphone. Now you are more dangerous than a terrorist, because where we are, we are journalists. We are here because of the various disinformation and misinformation campaign over the years. These guys are waging on majority of the people whom they deem gullible, say they will swallow the hook, line, and sinker. The message of Moselle, the ignorance that they are advertising on the traditional media, people will swallow all in the name of partisan politics. So they are good to go. So we don't pay much attention to critical issues and PMI and Kasa collective progress. Because how come? And I tell you, we know for a fact that we are here because of massive corruption. We are here because certain individuals deliberately decided to use this particular country as a bona fide property. Now you so mine on Mabosia, they just did everything humanly possible to ensure say
percentage.
Exactly. They will wreck the very foundations of this particular country. Institutions are silent, not to the extent that the finance minister say bond in the past, for a clear position of a conflict of interest. At this particular issue, you are dragging on. Now we are looking for a way out. Nobody is interested in why we got here. But the most fundamental thing they say, so we had a COVID period. I think say now a blessing in disguise in terms of an amount of money and pandemic. But the situation, a defining moment for us. Emma Ghana sikapudu ba kroma sanka ye tenase managing ya subsequently no menya so sanka ejine ba bi ejine because I had a COVID period that period na yenya access to $1 billion at the rapid credit facility ekoje as a member of IMF na say for yenya special drawings I know you somewhere around 1 billion na me no be kan ho esen ye 2 billion World Bank $900 million. Papa na Babon saying at a press conference, okay, said they gave Ghana 900 because all this while, now you freeze of my 400 million. That 430. 430. And son of Papa na Babon because they give us 900. We went to the Bank of Ghana. I turned into printing press. Papa na tuwa sikan or they printing. We took 10 billion and went for another 10 billion, 20 billion.
That's right.
Don't forget the same year, Ghana equal to the bond market because. So we had the history of the bond when I raised from 2018, yakwaje 12 billion, yakwaje 2 billion, 2019, yakwaje 3 billion, 2020, 3 billion, 2021, your last one, 3 billion. So 2020 as a year, we want to, your friends, a bond market, raise extra 3 billion. Kabom at that particular period. We had a lot of money in this particular country. But how are you putting this money to use, Because let's see, and nobody seemed to be accounting to anybody. So they messed up with the funds. Here. Subsequently, who free, na abayeka. To the sense that during the COVID period, COVID-19 trust fund, Ghanaians were benevolent enough to donate into that particular fund. Mamena, nano oko ya say pensioners or musika former your friend saying Chief Justice, press conference, they render account. And Ghana and Kabini say press conference, they render account. And that particular money, over 200 and something. Was a real 90 pounds who will be a Sassikanafa. And taking taxes in for at that critical moment, Ghana for going through hardship way, the government imposed COVID-19 taxes on Ghanaians. Nina go through. And the Bedouin have been as an Auditor General the report back. Now who say your friends say instances of malfeasances are occasioned and individuals have been named that. The first thing you see is the state will go in ruthlessly and deal with individuals. Say deter further your friends saying engagement by others. But state, I have quite complex because Auditor General did a report to buy no crowd. the first reaction from government side, I Godfrey Adame, who happens to be the Attorney General, armed with powers of prosecution to deal with individuals or more engaging in financial malfeasance and misappropriation, you know. The guy waged a war on the Auditor General. The question, the concern, you know, and say Auditor General, the report number 12 and 10, I need to publish it on the website. How can somebody who is supposed to safeguard the interests of the state will go to the extent of Nipana Obiya Bone and the documents are available? Because the very moment a document is submitted to Speaker of Parliament, you know, it's supposed to be in the public domain. Because Parliament, you know, your friend is saying, an extension of this, your friends, a public space, So whenever a document gets to Parliament, unless it's national security implications and asophobia, Auditor General and any wrong to put it in the public domain. But the interest of that guy, they say, Auditor General, free the website. But he was never interested in the instances of malfeasances where one person would take over 50 million Ghana cedis, go to Adakulo, hire a building, now we're using extra 20 million to renovate. He was never interested. Hey. We bought a virtual space. Amount of money pushi kom, taxes yentia, nina, abasenko. And there are several instances. Also, a COVID-19 trust fund investigation, so when you create such an atmosphere, it is nothing but a theft campaign that is being, your friend saying, waged on us by people we have entrusted political power to. So they are never interested in going after individuals as Sebi or taking the funds of the state as serious. And the office of the special prosecutors, my culture say you can't trust them because it's just an extension of the power that be. Your friend saying somebody who is tied to the apron strength of power, and also that virtual politics of convenience, you know, that is all that he's interested in. Issue no bar. Over here, say special prosecutor press conference, and the camera could say, we are no. Oba a bebe crumb, court, my baby. That kind of comic win issue by not waba, no by press conference. Now, I'm say NDC for your friend is saying, more primary see. Who statement to issue about one system maybe peace garden as for all of a sudden, because not that particular topic cannot be issue of we, not special prosecutor do her. A Captain Damwa issue nearby, no, kiki, or La Bianca issue no through her. Any of these issues, none, and a yenya closure. My culture is all person fighting corruption. It is not about the many state institutions you set up. It is not about the many, your friends say, office of prosecution set up, but the willingness and the commitment on the part of government. But my culture said, if you are hired by criminals to go after criminals, you will never succeed. Because people who hired you to chase those criminals, and they're the very people who are committing the crime, so there will be no closure. That is why I consistently know the state fund, Captain, go and look at the Auditor General's report from 2017 till date. 12 billion subsequent year 3 billion the following year 5.4 billion the following year 12 billion and then the last one 2017 they are over 17.4 billion. So in the period, you lose a whooping 50.4 billion Ghana cedis. As a result of COVID-19, your friend saying, Auditor General report about the COVID-19, the Ababa Kanwa, say the basket of the state is actually leaking. Who is that person that will say enough is enough? When indeed everybody be vested with executive privileges to ensure say you fighting these crimes, to one way or the other. No, our hands are involved in this particular thing. Now, I can't Alista Matthias issue now. The guy has admitted on tape say Ghana has every month beyond 1 year crown $40 to $60 million gold or the free of my muko. Captain, issue no buy. South Africa was cited. And our presidency government now has set up investigation or probing into those things. Because it is not about the name of the president being mentioned, but rather the affairs that are involved. Because as I'm now, you might be interested and go into establish the veracity or the otherwise. Because governance, here. But we were only interested in the president's name being mentioned in the report, but never interested in the amount of money that we've lost. That tells you the kind of country we are never interested. States, we best here. Nobody is interested in you go after the ordinary people. Because it's a rush hour. Me say we politics the free mind is a complete steal hour. theft campaign and a wage because we have what it takes to ensure say be ended this. Because in an enterprise like this, Captain, the only way I do away with corruption is when we are able to set examples. When we are able to prosecute individuals, to send a message out there. Because my culture says, in our individual lives, every nipa that have that potential to be corrupt. That is how the nipa say nyankopon boy. So the incentives and the opportunities available. No? State in Juma, let's will take it away from there. But a state, will compromise and the very people who are in charge, institutions are not working because the Auditor General report, the annual report, I don't believe all year Juma. Helping us surcharging people and others. Now you free order. You see the outcome of the Supreme Court ruling. Nipa na yedene ba no. One way or the other is intimidated. And in the report no the ba no one surcharge obia o. And one disallowance obia because only their to the predecessor. Because of Auditor General surcharging as for crew and associates same the man call and you ba no he is protecting his job. So surcharging and disallowance and then as for now all those powers to do, no, he never surcharged anybody. He just put out the report. And I'm saying, yes, your mind, you need Santino. COVID, Auditor General report from Kufuor pencil to your friends, Mel's pencil to Mahama pencil to Akufo-Addo pencil. The trend has always been the same. Yet, tenants and manipanu we sikanu we at the local level, no we. Now, Auditor General could put those things together in a bulky book. It will take you years to read. But the Auditor General report, no. 2012 for me 2012 the no come nyesho so obia kan awie na what about 2013 what about way because it's a bulky document that no single person can finish reading. So such way no give prominence and relevance to our cause or our fight against corruption. A choice of mine and kasa yenye serious. We are only interested in the report about they are putting aside and like the media no first week you have people talking about it. Say what that week nipa who we are and no. That is why I'm saying some boy also say now we're jogging memory, bringing back this particular issue. A reminder, you say, we didn't get here by accident. Ghana, I'm falling into the ditch because, sorry, I know your finances, Ira, and you're deliberate, your friends, a move by certain individuals and trusted with political power. They felt that on my personal property. And they are running this particular country like a family enterprise, like I told you, Abusia pharmacy shop, Ubo Roman, the OPBN way. That is how these guys are running this particular country. They don't respect anybody. The president doesn't respect anybody. The basic he doesn't care. And the guy is all. I'll go to the standard, even state institutions are, or we are folding them up. Then look at the state institutions, they are all on their knees. Baby, or more willing some by your forms. Critical example, your friend is there, Auditor General, your Pam Dominivo Man, Martina to issue by you here. The same problem, a fight against corruption. Nina or Hokotina fear until we had Nipa, Waba, Sabi control. No, that willingness is not there. And I think they're going forward. Say a to succeed in this fight against corruption. We need to prove to people that the state is really willing. The state is never going to show mercy. The state is never going to compromise on wrongdoings. Oh yeah, you will face the law. That's just as it's done everywhere. Because I'm not sure, say other countries, you go now to China or say Ghana or Mainisika free to from our China. I have share or mine the because you are scared. So we need not to public fund man. But we live in a country where people can just mess up with the state fund. We live in a country where people all of a sudden become rich overnight and nobody questions where they got their money from. We celebrate those individuals. We sat in this particular country when all of a sudden this number one guy just popped up and we sat aloof, watch him. He did all that he could. At the end of the day, not knowing say not the law a Ponzi schemer. Ghanaians almost had won money. Yet DK just a motors in answer for we sat aloof and watch all these things to slide. And at the end of the day, so if these people are able to operate in the open like this, they commit atrocities and financial crimes against the people of this country, and they get away with it. At the end of the day, it is a motivation for everybody anywhere to do it. That is why you see this Ponzi scheme spreading up on various social media. As you see it here, you say there are several platforms on your friends saying, app, people are giving loans in phone. Where those monies are coming from, and consistently you hear Bank of Ghana telling us disregard them. How many people are getting that information? As a regulatory body, a debate in a way You need to be up and doing and crack down on all these things. But our culture is that, oh, come on, Obia, the Hobatono, the Abayan or the Hobato, because the Bank of Ghana, Sika, were turning the place into printing press, another printing Sika, or an idea of cracking down on anybody. Everybody is committing crime. So until, sir, you will realize, sir, there is the need for us to rise and say, sir, young rich political consensus across the political divide. Over the years, enough is enough going forward. We will really go after individuals. And Captain, even in the future, I'm scared. Because in Gofoyo more committing these atrocities, I'm not sure, sir, subsequent governments will have that particular power, that influence, that way to go after them. So they feel comfortable. But until, say, it me draw the red lines, I'm many people who say, don't cross these lines. Now, cross there will be consequences. We will continue to be trapping into the ditch until, say, there will be no way out for us.
Me?
Captain.
Solid. Good job.
Mecha, Rochefort, all the youth of Ghana particularly, fellow panelists. Captain, I'll start from biblical kakra.
Okay.
And first of all, shout outs to Nogopo, all the indigenes of Nogopo. I like, sir. They've gone to a time where they are standing up for what they believe in, and I think it's interesting how this thing develops. But Yanko into the good book, Yanko Matthew 25:14-30, and Captain deals with the talents. Okay, right? And the parable of the talents. Let's say there was a rich man who gave unto his servants 3 servants some talents, and now mamu scary. And he said he was traveling Oko, but when he comes back, they have to give account for what they did with the monies. And the first servant, he was able to reinvest the monies and made some more monies. The second servant was also able to raise a little monies. But I said the third servant, or just two, this share, or yes. And so when the rich man came back, when he asked the first servant brought back extra money, he has been able to double the monies or even triple it. And he was rewarded. The second servant did the same, he was also rewarded. But third servant, he was punished. And Captain, that's very interesting. Sir, when this canoe, this is your money. But he was punished. Captain, can you imagine what would have happened if Sir servant or this canoe? Can you imagine what would have happened to that servant? Because when this canoe pulled, but he was punished for just keeping the money. So how much more spending it? Captain, what's the correlation here? Several other countries received monies from international bodies for the COVID period. Sir, we're all going through some problems, ain't he? This money was supposed to help you to, alleviate some of your problems. And he says, my account as to what those monies were used for. All these other countries have been able to do something with the monies. You can see improvement, you can see development. But if you come in the case of Ghana, say, Captain, they can't even produce the money because I'm with this Ghana. And see, if that master who gave the monies out is going to ask the Ghana government, say, Sky, you're the man for COVID, where's the money? What are these guys going to do? And if indeed there's any punishment that's going to come after, what do you think will happen to these people who have spent the money? No accountability, Captain. But let's come to the real issues. My issue, Captain, and here with the government of Ghana alone, Debbie, but I blame those who continue giving them the loans. Because, Captain, as an individual, so call any financial institution, and you're not able to use the money profitably, and you're not able to even pay back, there's no way so we'll call back to that financial institution for any money. It's not done anywhere. If that is the case, Eban is saying these guys have gone to the IMF not once, not twice, not 3 times, 17 times. I almost said freaking times. But 17 times these guys have gone to the World Bank. And they've never been able to account for any of the monies they've used. And see, Captain, my problem is with the IMF. Why do they keep giving money to the Ghana government? On what basis? What is in it for the IMF? Let me answer that question. And see, Captain, your documents be a friend, letters of development policy. Captain, only say anytime you call your conditions. Say, this is what you're supposed to use the monies for. This is what you can do. This is what you cannot do. But Captain, only say they don't put those conditions in the loan document. Omo separate letter called the letter of development policy. Omo the conditions in national document. And if any Ghanaian citizen requests per the RTI, say the government of Ghana should furnish them with the details of any of the IMF loans they've gone for, say your first document, who conditions no woman. There's an organization in Europe, which is a group of organizations, about 17 organizations across Europe. You're from Eurodad, so the Europe Development Agency on debt. I must say that activity is criminal, and they issued a charter to it, the Eurodad Charter. So that activity is criminal. Say, all the conditions in share one document, and that you have separate documents for the conditions of the loan. It's a criminal thing. And I don't blame the Ghana government at all. No, I don't see any problem with them. It is the people who continue to give them those monies is who I hold accountable here, or I share the blame on. Because Nipana but 17 times, it has not been able to account even once for what they've done with the monies. On what basis do you continue to give them monies? And Captain, you see, this is the thing. And yeah, it is us, the people of Ghana. And see, every time it is us who have to pay back. So don't be surprised that you wake up tomorrow morning and fuel prices have gone up. Don't be surprised that PRC will come out and tell us they have to increase utility bills for electricity and water. Because they say to be able to pay back. Now, do you know over 60% of our internally generated revenue goes into the payment of interest on the loans? And yet, principal, no. Let me explain it. And you say, 1,000 cedis. You say interest no, you're 200 cedis. Every year, say you're 200 local taxes local. We use over 60% of our revenue you're generated locally to go and pay the 200 cedis. And I know yeah, all the 200 cedis, so you're just 60% of that. 1,000 cedis, no, we not even started touching that. And this is accumulating, it's accruing. And see, you see, the travesty, and I said the crime here in Ghana, and Captain, it's interesting, sir. You were charged with, or they would try to charge some of us with treason. Now, treason is when you do something against the country. Can you imagine, sir, future generations are on the bano. You are saddling those people with debt, which means you're not even giving them a fighting chance to even survive. So it's not even against the people today, but you're actually destroying future generations, and nobody is being charged with treason for that. Captain, people have been shot for less. People were shot for less. But we have these people parading around and they're making all this noise. But I don't blame them again. The only true power in Ghana, the only law in Ghana today is power. There's no law in Ghana. And I speak directly to the courts. I wish they would charge me with treason or with contempt of court. But they should bow their heads in shame, all the Supreme Court judges, including the Chief Justice. Because the three arms of government are supposed to keep each other in check. And see, if the executive is fooling and the legislature is also in a mess, what is the judiciary doing? And Captain, I've said this on your show before, sir. If anything is going to happen in Ghana, the last hope or last resort for hope is the judiciary. And see, if you're supposed to keep each other in check, and the executive is misbehaving, the legislature is also following suit and messing around the whole place, what is the judiciary doing? Why can't they interpret the law as to what they're supposed to be and call the two arms of government to order? But then I don't blame them as well. Because Chief Justice will be appointed by the president, so he has to do the bidding of the master. The High Court judges have to be appointed by the president as well. So they'll have to do the bidding of the master. And see, there's no one who has the courage to be able to stand and speak truth to power and call them to order. Say, you guys are actually destroying that thing we call democracy. Captain, in all of this, I'll speak to the youth finally. Sir, over 60% of the Ghanaian population today are youth, which means you're between the ages of 16 and 35. Now, most of these people who are leading all this mess, most of them are about 70. And see, it's right to say, or it's safe to assume, say, by natural causes, in the next 10 to 15 or 20 years, most of these people will not be around. Which means it's us, the youth, who would have to bear the consequences of their actions and inactions. Then the youth, because you see, I don't know if the youth really understand the conditions or the circumstances that we are faced with. Because we don't have jobs. You cannot afford 3 square meals a day. Now we've just had say over 600 million abato accounts. Now mind you, say and we'll pay with interest. And see, when you watch certain people steal your future away, steal the essence of your youth away, and you sit down aloof and you don't do anything, you sit indifferent and unconcerned, it comes back to haunt us. So then again, what are the youth of Ghana doing? But in all of these things that are happening, Captain, you see, they say water always finds its level. Say Usi Dam to block water you might think the water has stopped flowing. But don't be fooled. The current under is building. The pressure is building behind the walls. And see, every dam, nobody will say, I'm going to outlets, be a friend. The gates, the flood gates, and spill gates. And see, say, pressure no drew certain level, no, they have to open it now and so not call out. If the spill gates are not open, the water will break the walls of the dam.
That's right.
For a very long time, the spill gates of the depression and frustration in Ghana have not been let out. Because all demonstrations, now the state security apparatus, there'll be violence and brutality. So people are even scared to come out to vent. So Kasawa radio and TV, so you say, hey, shut up. So there's no outlet for all of that frustration, all that anger. Captain, it is building up. And if you see the reactions of the youth across the country, it's something that people are not picking up on. But we saw what happened in Bibiani. It is not an isolated case. The thing is brewing up. And see, the state security services should understand, say, it is not a time where you use brutalities and force trying to settle these things. No.
You can't.
You can't contain it. But then, like I said, the pressure behind the walls are building up. A word to the wise is enough.
And she said, no. And they are pressure, no. Dakro. Kofi, anything to add?
Captain, mede sena ni kaine Ivan and so akano. Youth na mpese minimum kasa. Because we're coming to the edge of the cliff. Yeduho. Na youth, me sremo, me pamocho bibri say, baby, I yedu yen to me koyengechi. As I say, we make decisions. Be. Now, decisions, as I say, we make, as I say, you're informed based on fact. And as I say, you're subjective. As I say, you're decisions based on facts, you're common sense, you're objective. Young, lucky, I want to say, Bibia, yere can be seeded out. Intino, there is no guesswork in sa propositioning. BBS seeded out. Who in the Fourth Republic, 32 years, the failure of NDC and MPP, made Americans so. And who all the parties and the institutions are sa treasonous organizations see what support. MPP and NDC are treasonous organizations. So they have not been responsible, they have not been honest, they have wonga leti and down to a point ebedu baby nearing to me and koyechi view. Ebabo inti na American say if you truly look at what balance sheet to say now who said there is no way income, how do you generate income when you're doing zero value add? Won't add the value to BBA or problems near being you don't have inflow, and you don't inflow no crowd, background, so you don't know how to manage it. When him said we use sikan, was say sikan, won't DB. I think, say in the world, even the Arabian countries, no, now we said na Qatar no money, Saudi Arabia no money, Ubia sasan woyade. They sit, made the name of one institution, so they sit and discuss how China is talking about placing satellites at the darkest parts of the moon. I was in actually California when Elon Musk launched the Starship rockets, 4 minutes up in the air, exploded. But it was the biggest rocket. The amount of work that went into it, and you know not what a parliament what can. What can I say? Better ni yonku tuyankrofu sika wokumewu ni emfe ni election. I mean, look at the level. They say, baby, you're much higher than that. This is the only time in Ghana's history you bet to me emerge from the shadows. A world powerhouse. Why do we want to give this opportunity to NDC and MPP? They are clueless. And they have proven, said, well, you're clueless. And when cluelessness meets unpreparedness, you have their pictures looking at you, NDC, MPP. don't need to prove the point to you. Now, Mr. Mo say, if we do not take this opportunity, na yema NDC and MPP said, Debia, wapepahan wabe dying. I am for over the weekend, number one London, actually. Now, I am for now one meti table, no, wakache him so Kofi ko ni ebe piano. Kofi ko ni ebe piano. Let me say, Mum pia me say, what's there be bringing New Year. Because from yetro. Inti ko ni ebe piano. I am for mere sramo kachira mo say, mo na mo ye custodians of the land. And this in the MPP for what is sabri bia wa Ghana. Munim sa everybody pay attention in him say NDC in the MPP asofo de bia mo ba mo bekese politics dey enka mo responsibility ho asofo e America chem say na nipa na oba sorry beto collection ne dey on the onka Ghana ho ana oye Ghana ni the fiduciary responsibility ayede ama NDC in the MPP no wanga bono, wanga say no. Inti ni Erica chile mo ne say. Mon kanche mo asore ma. Asofo, mon kanche mo asore ma. Ma munyan to say, oh, mo de make a decision and mo feel say, eh, the best for you. There be inti the woba asore no. Direct them, tell them say, listen, me America chile Ghana fu say make Kofi granting. There is nobody who could be on the ballot from the 20 million people are what MPP are also a person of a ballot so to the one person or stand alone or NDC, Mr. Mahama. They are not cut out for where we are going in this new world order. Missy, I'm telling them, say, one for a debate, na yan present young ideas to the Ghanaian people. Mr. Mahama, I call on you and the NDC. Mr. President, say the munyenya or friend flag bearer ye. Mum flag bearer no kre nu hoye. Mo wonga wo person ye president na mumfa wo na amra. Ni entina say at the table. Odua Captain mpacha wo be tumi age president.
Mo be ye
nko ade a captain so be my time. Ni atena onua show so ni debate ideas on how to elevate Ghana, how to pay the debt. You see, let me tell you this and let me end with this. Obia Oba Obekese Opeso, the president, no, it's amazing. They never address the problem. No root cause of the problem, corruption. Obia Anka Hwasem. Obia Anka over 600 billion cedis of debt, no, send yebe chianafa. Obia said they have a plan. Mahama Opeso besi infrastructure. Then no di besi. Okobobo siano di abesi. Wanyanesa, wanga say sika. This mindset of Bobusiana fight make attempts or the bibin we have to develop the youth. We have to prepare the youth. We're in a crisis. Let's not miss. So our crisis, as much as a crisis, and it presents an opportunity for Ghana to sit up and make a decision. Say going this way out, as I say, for Obia, not no. Wanga chiche, not near masse, not on my bobosia. Yang add value. There's so much money in this country, Mr. Kufuado. And yet tisikaso, utisikaso, ubebre, nyansan wode yade nye sika. Among people we are see won't need resources. Bakwahe Scandinavian countries. Ye wo sika ye nyadwene anka ho ye bebre. Captain.
Next week, Sunday, Yati and Ivan.
Yeah, Captain. Because politics na no Kromano. It has never placed any premium on the ordinary Ghanaian. Tembiano, it is about interest. Nipana wabani do obenya. And this all here political discussion. Even you say assess the progress of our economy. Very often, you limit to your GDP. But the Human Development Index. Look at the value an individual presents. And these are the fundamentals that you need to be able to position your country to achieve whatever that you want to, especially in this new world that is emerging. We don't put value. I mean, kind of last time we can't. Human Development Index.
No, nobody talks about it.
It has always been the GDP. And but you know very well, say that particular index, any any or replicating our has because majority of companies now into production selling in foreign based companies are omuwi omusika de ko Vodafone beko MTN beko hwan ShopRite they carry their money, change them into dollars and at the core abonting. So at the end of the day, the ordinary Ghanaian is left impoverished. And unfortunately for us, we live in a space where the traditional media are waging constant warfare on the mind and the psyche of the people. The disinformation and the misinformation campaign. Because the agenda is one. To streamline a certain parochial interest, partisan interest, Ghana, on kind of crunch, So majority of the youth, have become gullible. Unfortunately, with this new media that is emerging, because that particular psyche, ain't for development. And if you go to the social media, now if you look at even the kind of information and the content our people are consuming on social media, go to TikTok and go and look at the kind of content people are consuming. Yeah. Go to YouTube, the kind of foolish things people follow when they can use the same opportunity to follow relevant things. I said, a bit me align because that is the psyche. My catcher say, uko Facebook near so be sex tape or banner a trot to her. Quite penny for me inbox to send them because that is the psyche. Nobody is educating, nobody is teaching anybody. Go to social media, YouTube, Nakohens, people are commenting on them. That is the reality. No, Captain, the reality is you bet developer. You bet how can the so the psyche of the people no answer, son. It's like washing your feet, abra wash your socks. You will never get anywhere. And to see any change if you are at this point, change is the only way you hear at this point. There is no a redemptive alternative for us aside change. But that particular change must be anchored on idea betimi I realize the progress. And to achieve that, I say you sit back near we are making rational choices and rational political decisions. That is the only way betimi put the politician on the two amana. But as long as an African politician knows the people they are leading are not wise, they are gullible, and they can hoodwink them into believing any kind of thing that they put up, they will continue to take us for granted. And look at Africa. Because of this mass ignorance, I keep on spreading into, look at our state. In Ghana, go to Nigeria, Okoha, oil now for the state, certain Otumba be on Kwana dear, Otimi, the entire state, because Watimi are taking over. What I said, that is the kind of mentality. So it's me liberty by educating people and enlightening them, because the traditional media have told us have failed us, but the new media is giving us certain hope that people can actually consume information. So those of you who are using the same period selling those things out there, it is not helping anybody. We need to enlighten the people. Now the youth know so because we a future leader. We a future leader, and that is your only motivation. I say, damn the whole team, because the present today is being taken away. It is being mortgaged by old people who are due for retirement to finance their fans.
So no future.
There is no future.
End here.
All right.
Right. And see, Captain said the two parties, MPP and NDC, the only thing they know how to do is to win elections, but they know how to run the country. Okay. I'll say this again. The MPP and the NDC only know how to win elections, but they don't know how to run or build a nation. And they're saying, I like the challenge Kofi threw out there, sir. Debate to discuss policy. But, Captain, let's analyze some of these things quickly. Let's take education, let's take health, and let's take employment, right? Into social health. Building a healthcare system, and yes, see hospitals, that is not healthcare. You're supposed to look at the quality of your professionals. And not just that, but how motivated are your professionals? Because there are certain individuals, for workers, every time they have to be highly motivated. Absolutely. You're looking at teachers, you're looking at the health professionals, you're looking at the creatives, and I add one more, which are the drivers, operators of vehicles. These guys have to be highly motivated because your state of mind can directly and greatly affect your output of work. And yes, you see hospitals because you see hospitals. No, look at the quality of the healthcare you're providing. How motivated are your professionals? And yes, we see hospitals but the environment you're creating has to be conducive to help in recovery. And just the atmosphere where you are can help you start feeling better. And a hospital, all the hospitals we have in Ghana today, the leading and top hospitals, none of them has a garden. They don't have gardens. Where's the hospital garden at Ridge? And see, when the people go for treatment and they need to recover, and some in Framani, where do they go? Let's go to school. Same with school. And see, Captain, who will see health educational system no, and yes, sir, who will see
if you cry, yes, you cry, and a garden can't hold a school.
No, but hospital is very necessary. It adds to your recovery. Exactly.
That's why you can't wait for 2020.
Let's go to education. And yes, I always see school dining because let's look at all the so-called school buildings that you see in Ghana here. They don't have no playgrounds.
No problem. But honorable Carlos and him could say, "By me and Canada, oh, Carlos, also MP. I was mad." I say, "Nema why you inquire about me? I found there two books on okay, men quenum." But I dare back open a yemi yarn no pay. So can I mirror one and no me pesa yeka. Shas yes a yeka cathedral, 7 years almost say. Penny for some no undine near pesable. School feeding. A man who sika will hear no. Okanina Bumwa $2.1 million. Abansi Uniska, but final payment of $5,817,769.65. The new secretary of Melpenia Jai say we design National Cathedral. What's it, Jimmy?
We are about software ding or more one book castle. I can see I know my gym.
Yeah, man, was school now, school feeding a common day one. I buy need $2 million to pay them.
Okay.
But I buy with $5.8 million to pay Ajay. Maybe some software now, we share now, we work cathedral. Board of trustees who say, we didn't answer and answer what we need to do. I do come. Onanimo homra na mekro
Onya TV ayimre no sia akan kasebo Omai munsem obi manso agodie munsem ene nigidie edwadie ka ho dɔhwe baako ne etena se